Hey everybody, welcome back to Bloodborne. This is going to be episode 24, and we're just going to go straight into the Hunter's Nightmare, and we're going to go fight Ludwig. So if you remember from a really earlier episode, I already opened up this shortcut, already got to go through most of this and pick up some of the items. But I did not spend a whole lot of time exploring this second area right here. I don't really know why I didn't. I think that I was just honestly too excited to go fight Ludwig that I just kind of ran to it like I would do on a normal playthrough. So my apologies for that. I'm actually thinking that I'm going to do a New Game Plus run of the DLC, since I didn't really explore this area too much at all. And plus, I think it would be cool to take care of all these bosses again in New Game Plus, because these are my favorite bosses of the entire game, really. So maybe I'll go back and take them down with a different weapon or something like that when I've given this game a little time to settle. I just really love the visuals of this DLC. I like the enemies here, though I feel the enemies can be really punishing, like these guys that I'm just not even going to attempt to fight. The bosses are some of the most difficult in the game, but they're also some of the best in the game. All in all, I just really love this DLC. I unfortunately did not play it until last year. I, for some reason, just completely missed it when it came out and didn't really pay attention to Bloodborne after my first initial playthroughs. And then I had to get rid of my PS4 for a little while and couldn't play Bloodborne. And then when this DLC came out, I just never got a PS4 again until about a year and a half or so ago. So right there you can see a summon, but we're not going to summon to fight Ludwig here. We're just going to go in and take care of him ourselves. And then there's another summon that you can use, and I think that's Walter. Who's the guy that we talked to in Forbidden Woods about joining the League.
Please help us. An unsigned beast. The great terror looms. Have mercy. Have mercy upon us.
God, Ludwig is one of the most terrifying looking bosses. So I'm talking over this because I'm going to lose my first fight with Ludwig here. It always takes me maybe one or two tries to actually defeat him when I play this game. But for some reason, the first time I ever fought him when I played through the DLC the first time, I actually defeated him. And I defeated him with like 2 or 3 blood vials left, and when you actually see the fight that I win in this playthrough, I have none left. So I'm not the greatest at fighting him, but he is my second favorite boss of the DLC. His soundtrack also is my favorite OST of the entire game. I generally think everything about this boss fight was masterfully done. His moveset is extremely fair. He does a lot of moves that can stun lock you and a lot of quick moves that can hit you in succession, but he doesn't take enough health off to where it makes it completely unbearable. That's probably the only move that I actually don't really like from him, is that move where he goes up into the ceiling and then slams back down on you. But that's generally because I don't like a lot of bosses that do that. His really only unfair move, I would say, is that charging move, but I generally also just hate charging moves that bosses have. So that's just my personal preference on that kind of stuff. So nothing against the boss itself, just my personal opinion on it. And I didn't want to go back and redo all of my blood gems at this point. I just decided to go ahead and use fire paper, because this is at a point where I have not been able to farm blood gems yet. And I would do way more damage on him with this setup and fire paper than I would if I went and redid those.
all along. My true mentor, my guiding moonlight.
So that is not my best fight with Ludwig, but I'll take it. Yeah, I find Ludwig to be pretty difficult sometimes. It really just depends on what attacks he gives you during that first phase more than anything. I really like how cinematic they got with some of these boss fights in the DLC, especially with that one where, you know, you get the cutscene in the middle and he pulls the moonlight blade out and says, "You were my guiding light and with me all along," and it's so good. And that OST is just phenomenal. I don't know what it is about that particular track, but just that swelling in the middle when he goes into a second phase is really just one of the best things that I've ever heard in a FromSoft game before.
Good hunter, have you seen the thread of light? Just a hair, a fleeting thing. Yet I clung to it, steeped as I was in the stench of blood and beasts. I never wanted to know what it really was. Really, I didn't.
So you're supposed to be able to talk to him in church attire and get more dialogue from him. And I thought that just by putting on Gascoigne's cap that it would work, but I guess not.
Shrouded by night, but with steady stride. Colored by blood, but always clear of mind. Proud unto the church. Beasts are accursed, and curses shackled. Only ye, the true blades of the church.
So we can't get in through that door. But we're actually going to go back down here. We're going to go to the Hunter's Dream. So yeah, you do have to put on more than just one piece of church attire to talk to him and get the extra dialogue. But you can still kill him and get the Moonlight Sword. And unfortunately, I don't have enough strength to be able to use that right now. But I will be using that at later points of the game, probably in the next episode or so.
Gammon awaits. Go. Very well. Let. Farewell, good.
So I'm just going to try to get my strength up just point by point there. And here I'm just kind of selling some stuff. I sold the doll clothes so that I could get some blood echoes, and I wanted to clear out my blood gems a little bit. I get rid of some of the ones that I'm just never going to use at this point. I honestly probably shouldn't have sold my Ritual Blood 5s because I run into the issue later on that I don't have enough to actually get into the Chalice dungeons that I need them to get into. So I do have to end up farming for those, but it's okay. There's really easy ways to get them. There's a Chalice dungeon that I find later on that is a really good farming dungeon for those kinds of things. It is a hacked dungeon, so it's one of those false depth things where in the earlier areas of the dungeon you get loot that is only supposed to be in later areas, and those are really good for farming. But as you can see, we had enough to get the Holy Moonlight Sword to +9. But we can also buy blood rocks at the insight shop now. And they cost 60 insight, but it's well worth it. I actually do start using this sword pretty soon, but it's actually not that much better than the Saw Spear with all of the arcane that I have and fire gems in most cases. So I kind of switch back and forth just to kind of see which ones are better and which ones are doing more damage.
A tragic figure, but he will shame himself no longer. He died with his ideals untarnished. He was a true hero, and earned that much at least. Do you know why the hunters are drawn to this nightmare? Because it sprouted from their very misdeeds. Things that some would rather keep secret. A pitiful tale of petty arrogance, really. High time someone exposed the whole charade. Now, go on ahead. You seek nightmares and the secrets within, do you not? Now, you see.
So that was our buddy Simon again, talking about some more lore. Basically talking about how this nightmare was basically created to try to keep the secret of what they actually did in this area with the research hall and the fishing hamlet. I think the biggest thing that I really liked about this DLC was just how much lore it actually gave and how much it actually told about what was actually going on before the game really started.
Are you a hunter? Well, that's very odd. You hear the toll of the bell? Liar. Such pettiness will be your undoing. The beast you seek will not be found here. Go back to your hunt. And if you have the chance, put this knife behind you. Places better left untouched. Secrets better left alone. Only a fool would so brazenly roam. Bear in mind, some places are better left untouched, and some secrets are better left alone. Only fools do brazenly roam.
I think it's really interesting that this place is full of people that will tell you to leave and not come back because they don't want you to find out what's going on. And I say people, but really it's just Brador, who we just talked to, and Maria, who we will fight in one of the later episodes. Simon seems like he kind of wants to expose everything, and that's probably one of the reasons that Brador ends up hunting him down. At least that's kind of the impression that I get from it. I just thought this was really creepy over here with these rats with the glowing eyes. And they won't come attack you. They are just kind of confined to this little area over here. And I'm sure that they'll come and attack you if you come in here and, you know, run away. They'll probably follow you out or something like that. But just thought it was really creepy having the rats back there with the glowing eyes. And we're about to get into a double hunter fight here. Though I managed to take one back and then come back for the other one. And this hunter's using my favorite weapon, the Ludwig's Holy Blade. Which I kept trying to parry and it just was not working, so kind of ended up saying screw it. That move that they just did, that's actually one of my favorite moves of the Ludwig's Holy Blade, and that's one of the reasons that I really, really like it, because you can kind of do a dash and then you will kind of turn around and do that move that they're doing. And I've always thought that that was really, really useful to be able to dash past a boss or an enemy and just kind of automatically turn around and be able to swipe up at them with your sword. Now, I turned the corner there. I wasn't expecting this hunter to be here. And I just called it a hunter, and I called this a double hunter fight. But, you know, honestly, I don't know if it is a hunter fight per se. This person looks more like they're a member of the church. And the other one probably was as well. So that's my fault for misspeaking there, if I definitely did. And this one uses Black Sky Eye, which is one of the arcane spells that I like to use all the time. And it takes a pretty decent chunk of damage off, so you're going to want to make sure that you don't let that hit you too many times. But after we're done with that, we're going to go up here, and we're going to get on this little elevator thing. But first, we're going to reach inside of a skull. And here we are in the research hall. We're going to go back down this elevator, though, because there's something below it that we can get. So we're able to grab Lawrence's skull from there. Now, I'm almost certain that that's actually what allows us to be able to fight him later on. But we'll ride this all the way down and we will get the church cannon. It's another variation of the cannon weapon that is pretty good. Nothing that I've ever really used, though. I've never really found a use for the cannons too much, because I've never done a blood tinge run. Although, doing a blood tinge or, like, gun-only run one of these days, I think that would be really cool. I'm a big fan of Yumfa's videos, or however you're supposed to say it. He spells it Y-M-F-A-H, so I'm assuming that it's just Yumfa or something. But I'm a huge fan of his videos, and I would really, really love to do a version of the gun-only run that he did at some point, because it just looks like a whole lot of fun. But we're going to ride this elevator back up. And we're going to start exploring. I'm actually a really big fan of this area. I like the aesthetic of it. It has this kind of creepy vibe to it.
There's someone in my eyes. I'm afraid I dropped in a puddle. Everything is pale now.
You got these patients that are wandering around here with all these bloody wraps over their heads and talking about clip clop, and water and just all kinds of really creepy stuff. All the things that these people do in this game are just absolutely terrible. All the stuff that they do, just really, we have the worst people in this universe, I swear. And of course, we're not going to be able to open any of these doors down here, so the only path that we have to go is these stairs. That move right there specifically, if you get caught in that, that will one-shot you pretty much. And I don't mean one-shot as in it just one hit takes your health away. If you get caught up in that, it's like one hit and then it stun locks you for like just a second, and as they follow through with it, I mean, it just drains your health like nothing else. So you definitely got to try to keep your distance with these guys a little bit. As much as you can, anyways. Even their headbutt attack takes a pretty decent chunk of health off. And then in here, you've just got all of these people that are just begging for you to kill them. So we're going to go ahead and put them out of their misery.
I'm guilty. I know. But I won't do it again. I promise. The damn darkness. It frightens me. And what rises from its very depths.
So they're all kind of calling out for Lady Maria. And if I remember the lore correctly, she eventually got to the point where she thought all of this was just completely wrong and decided to take pity on some of these people who were being experimented on. And I believe that, once she found out what was going on and everything, she decided to completely defect and seal everything away so that nobody would be able to get to it again. That nobody would be able to find out what was going on here. And that's the impression that I've always kind of got from the Rakuyo, when you find that, the item description there, and just some of the lore that I've read about her. Lady Maria is actually one of my favorite characters in the game. It's also my favorite boss fight in the game. Those guys, as you see, they throw one of those little jars of whatever it is at you, and takes away half of my health, so 2 hits from those and I'm done. But if you go rushing in there, you're going to get ambushed by a bunch of these guys, so you're going to want to bring every one of them out of here. Hopefully by 1 or 2 if you can, and take them down that way. I find that's pretty much the easiest way to get through this particular room. I really like that fast run move that the other one just did, where it just ran at you really fast. That's one of those really old kind of horror movie tropes that I guess they decided to use in this area that I really, really like. I really, really appreciate that. Really good to see in an area like this. This enemy is even more deadly. Like, they will just throw this IV thing at you as many times as they possibly can. And if it hits you once or twice, you're stun locked. It can knock you on the ground. Very, very vicious enemy. Very difficult to deal with sometimes if you get backed into a corner, too. And this was actually the room that we were in before, where we took pity on all those patients. So nothing else to see down there. I completely forgot that that ladder was even there. Otherwise, I probably would have come up here and attached this room from that way instead. But we'll open this door, and I believe we're on the 3rd floor. Grab some antidotes and go fight some more of these guys. And get ambushed by one of them there. Oh, this is the 4th floor. Alright. My apologies. Yeah, that headbutt move, that can stun lock you as well. And I keep pulling out my torch because I just kind of wanted to get a better look at some of these rooms. Just to get a better idea of how creepy they actually are. What's actually going on in them. So now we're on the 5th floor, and we're going to open up the elevator shortcuts. And there's 3 of these wheelchair enemies here. These guys won't notice you if you don't really go near them, but the other one will kind of always notice you, so you're pretty much going to want to take that one out as quick as possible. They can do some damage with their guns as well. But really, that's going to do it for this episode. There's only about a minute left, and all we're going to do is grab this elevator. We're going to go down. We're going to open up the shortcut and hit the lantern before coming back up here again. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day.